All right, we're back here for the third episode this week of the show to be named later. Andy, they did it to us again. Maybe not the next day, but I want you to notice this amazing shirt I'm wearing. The shirt from the show, the night the reindeer died, the special for IBC for Christmas. And I'm wearing it on purpose. I actually put this on about 5 minutes ago because today is the night Astros Twitter died with the signing of Christian Walker, spelling the end of Alex Bregman. We'll get to Christian Walker in a second. Alex Bregman is going to go down in history as one of the most clutch and key Astros of all time. What were some of your favorite memories of Bregman as an Astro?
I mean, there's more than a few. It's kind of like a flood of emotions. So I am sad to see Bregman going. And I guess nothing's official in the world that he plays second base and Jose Altuve somehow plays center field or something in, light of the way Craig Biggio did when we acquired Jeff Kent. But let's say that's not going to happen. I think it was 2017, and there's a couple times. The obvious one's Game 5 of the World Series
Right.
where he won the game in extra innings. But my favorite one was in Boston, because he had a great game and was such a team guy at that point. Not that he's not now, but such a team guy at that point. The gif of him rooting on and being really excited that his teammates were beating up on the Red Sox, that will continue, I assume, at least until what, March 27th, when he's, no longer, when it's just going to be too painful to post. I think those are my big memories, but a lot of good times. Coming in second to Mike Trout when you could have argued that, Mike Trout should have won the MVP in 2019, since he didn't play the last 2 months of the season. There's a bunch, and
Yeah,
he
that was a
was,
fun moment. I was at um, the Big A for the last two games, and Astros fans had taken over and were chanting MVP that year. It was a lot of fun.
yeah, it's not without regret that the idea that he's not going to be playing is, going to hit hard, but I don't hate what happened today.
I don't hate what happened today. We're going to get to it too. And, you know, one of the things that I'll miss about Bregman, obviously game five, obviously that moment. I mean, even the dugout stare, it seemed to be at this early part of the dynasty, the team was having a lot of fun. A lot of that fun was from Alex Bregman. Correa was kind of the attitude, Altuve was the heart, and Bregman was the one reminding everybody that baseball is a game and games are supposed to be fun. More fun when you win. Okay, I'm making the argument. Tell me if I'm right. Tell me if I'm wrong. I think the Astros are a better team right now than they were October 3rd of 2024. Am I right?
Well, I think, before we get to that, I think we should just say, in case you're just tuning in because you like our faces, the Astros acquired Christian Walker today to play first base. 3 years, $60
This one,
million.
I'm already here in Colorado. I got Orbit running laps around me because he's never seen a backyard this big. I'm sorry. Yes, we signed a first baseman today.
And weed is legal, um, in the great state of Colorado.
It is.
It's going to cost the Astros, beyond the $60 million, a second round pick and a fifth round pick and some international signing money. You mentioned Twitter has died. I haven't even ventured to go over there yet. I just stayed on Blue Sky today because it feels safer. But people on Blue Sky aren't happy either. And I have to think that, to answer your question, this team is at least no worse than they were on October 3rd. What we've done is shift the hole from first base in our offense, basically from first base to right field. So we have an outfield hold now, but we have a pretty solid infield. Paredes is now going to be playing third. That's important. He is an average defender. He's not Alex Bregman, but I also don't know that he's going to take until the end of June to start hitting every year. So maybe there's some benefit there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, Pena's a solid defensive shortstop, except for the one or two series every year where he just can't get his feet out of the way. Altuve is Jose Altuve. We'll not talk about his defense. And then Christian Walker, the acquisition today, is a Gold Glove first baseman.
We had
I,
27 bombs last year.
I think it was Brian Arbor, a friend of the show, who posted, or it might have been somebody else on Blue Sky, that the Astros were negative 14 in runs saved from the first base position in 2024.
Did you say
They
negative 15?
negative 14. Christian Walker by himself was plus 7 last year. So that's a 21 run swing. If maybe some balance where we're going to be okay at third base, but the infield feels like it's shored up with Diaz at catcher. Obviously, I think we're okay there. The issue now becomes what do you do with the outfield? Because if opening day was today, I'd be really pissed because I don't have tickets. But uh, you're looking at Chas McCormick in right, Jake Myers in center field, and I don't know
Mauricio
Zach
Dumas probably
DeCenzo
left.
in left.
Yeah.
Hey, somebody. But I think the reality is that this is the second of maybe a couple of other moves. The Astros are going to have a glut of starting pitching at some point in the next 6 months. Does Brown act with that sooner or later? I don't know. But I got to think he's got to sign at least one more outfielder to at least provide some competition, unless we are really going with the idea that Jacob Melton and Zach DeCenzo are going to be our corner outfielders this year rather than next year. And then, Cam Smith's in the mix now, and I don't want to see him in 2025 because I think that means something's probably gone horribly wrong,
Right.
but that's another option. I think the
As we talked
reality
yesterday
is,
with as we talked yesterday with Jeff, I mean, he's got the potential to be a plus third baseman by the time he gets up here.
yeah, but he can also play right field in theory. So the Astros have obviously been preparing for this. Dana Brown has to like what he sees. I the Bregman thing is going to be with a lot of second guessing until he either proves he's worthy of whatever contract he's about to sign or doesn't. And I think there's a couple things it's very easy to hate on Dana Brown right now and Jim Crane and they're cheap and whatever. Our payroll has not gone down, I don't believe, significantly. We're still going to be past the first level of luxury tax.
Right.
But I got to think based on this, there's a couple of things at play. I think one of the obvious answers here is that Scott Boras might have overplayed his hand a little bit as far as negotiations go. I don't. Maybe Alex Bregman signs with the Yankees or the Red Sox or the Tigers, and those are the current rumors. Um, but if they're holding out for a seventh year and they're holding out for more money and they're not getting it, you could absolutely see a world where Bregman's about to sign a Correa kind of contract where he's got a 3-year contract with 3 years worth of opt outs in it for the San
Yeah.
Francisco Giants.
Yeah. I mean,
So
you brought it up.
there, I
You
think there's
brought,
that. I think there's the other thing that um, Bregman's OPS plus has dramatically plummeted each of the last 3 years.
yeah.
And so you're basically asking to pay him into the age 37 or 38 year at his playing age with no guarantees that he's going to continue to be even as good an offensive player as he was last year. You
And he had bone spurs.
add to the idea that
Go ahead.
yeah, there's issues with his elbow. Those might be just bone spurs. It might be something else. But I gotta think from an analytics standpoint, if this wasn't Alex Bregman, it was another player, Astros fans wouldn't be as upset. We're upset right now because the emotion involved with Kyle Tucker and Alex Bregman being World Series heroes, Bregman a two-time World Series hero for this city. Um, that hurts a little bit because he's going to be playing for somebody else. I also got to think, even through 3 GMs and Jim Crane's ownership, George Springer left. He hasn't really been worth the contract he signed.
Yeah.
Carlos Correa left. You could argue that he's, probably hasn't been worth the contract that he signed. Really, the only one that's really been worth it, Garrett Cole, and I'll make an argument for Charlie Morton too. But the Astros made the right calls on those guys.
And the irony around Garrett Cole too is he wasn't even that loved because he wasn't one of our guys.
Right.
Remember, people were ready to get to shove him out of the rail the minute the World Series ended.
Well, to be fair, he was ready to shove us off the rail as well because he was an agent of himself at that
Nation
point.
himself. Yeah. And I
So
even took more slack than some people do on that moment because I do believe a reporter just put a camera in his face without him even expecting it. So it seems like the emotions were still raw, but you're right.
yeah, but it also feels like he had an outfit planned for an eventual loss, which
He
that's
did.
never really going to sit with me. But whatever, that's
As opposed
way
to Correa, who played the 2017 World Series Game 7 with an engagement ring in his pocket. That dude was, yeah,
yeah.
that dude was not proposing if they lost. So there you go.
Well, she wouldn't have said yes. There's that. Um, I just got to think there's got to be at least one more move before camp breaks or camp pitchers and catchers report. Maybe it's a couple weeks into that, but I got to think there's another outfielder that gets an outfielder that gets acquired, and then all of this starts to make a little bit sense. I don't agree with some of what I've seen online about this putting the Astros, because there's some school of thought the Astros should just be stripping it down and rebuilding right now.
No.
I don't think you do that with Altuve and Alvarez on your roster. There's some thought that they should be going for it now, and I don't understand how Walker and Paredes is not going for it now. You've basically traded out Tucker and Bregman for Walker and Paredes, and other than the warm fuzzies that you get for Tucker and Paredes or Tucker and Bregman, I don't know that the team's appreciably worse or worse at all than they were on October 3rd.
Hey, look,
Uh,
when we say like we talk about the warm fuzzies, look, we're not blaming anybody for feeling this way. We are
no,
fans. We love these players. Um, I think
I now have at least 3 jerseys in my closet I can't wear anymore.
this is why I don't get people's names. But no, I mean, like, look, I think all of us kind of saw the writing on the wall with Tucker. I think a lot of us thought Bregman would be an Astro for life, and but I don't think that I don't know that Dana Brown or Jim Crane are. I'd like the fact that they were able to be dispassionate about these choices, and I do think you're right. I don't. I think at some point the fact that Bregman was expressing to lots of people he was willing to play second base, there's a lot of reasons for that. Part of me wonders if that might be his long-term future with what we've talked about with the elbow and everything else. And you have a second baseman entrenched there right now. So what are you going to do?
Yeah, again, it's the emotion that you have right now, and I get it because Bregman's a loss from a clubhouse perspective. He's a loss from a defensive perspective. He's a loss from a city of Houston perspective. I don't know what kind of salsa I'm going to buy now from that's repackaged from New Mexico. Um,
You mean he's not in the garage mixing that stuff up himself?
Maybe he's doing that with a swamp sauce, but I can tell you exactly if I cared enough, I would look up the brand of that salsa that's been relabeled with Bregman's time on it, and maybe it'll sell well in New York. They still eat paste picante sauce up there. Uh,
Get a rope.
yeah, but it's a sad day for Astros fans from a fandom standpoint. I got to think that if you get 60 home runs out of your corner infielders this year, we're going to move past it pretty quickly.
Right. And I think to point people out, okay, even though Walker had a down year for him, he still hit 26 home runs. And we've all seen the Paredes overlays. We know how much that is a value, but the reality is he would have hit more home runs had he played a Minute Maid last year, not Wrigley. And um, I just come back to this. Dana Brown does not want to get fired. I think he knows more about baseball than most of us, and I think we cannot, on one hand, like we talked about in our show yesterday, um, the Astros have been borrowing against the future and borrowing against the future and borrowing against the future. Eventually, those bills come due. I think he's doing a great job of paying the bills without completely kicking us out on our ass. Which
Yeah,
is fine
and
if we don't have a
ultimately,
government.
it's
Yeah.
ultimately I think what this is, what we've seen so far this offseason is the Astros are not prepared to do a strip down rebuild, and nor should they. They want to remain competitive. They're in the weakest division in baseball by a lot of different measures. So again, get in the playoffs, get hot at the right time. It's a crapshoot. They're positioned to still, with these moves, be the best team in the AL West. That gets you a division championship. Hopefully, they win enough games to get a bye because the wild card route sucks in the current format. And if that happens, then I think all is forgiven. And you can still see Bregman at the old timers games if we did that anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I think he'll still be an Astros Hall of Famer.
I,
Whatever that criteria is. Um,
I think you're an Astros Hall of Famer at this point,
I
Jim.
mean, honestly, we need to be up in the rafters, and I don't know why we do that. Um, maybe we could all be petals on the Sunshine Kid thing, like parts of the sun ray. I don't know. Look, overall, um, I had no emotional reaction to losing him. To me, it was less shocking than the Tucker trade, and even the Tucker trade, I was pretty on board with because I think you got when you factor in the young kid, Cam Smith. I have a feeling that you won that trade. Everybody in baseball says you won that trade, except for
Yep.
our fan base. Even
Yes.
Cubs fans think we run that trade, as we learned yesterday. I think the Astros. I know we'll wrap it up here in a quick. I think they have a better record than they did last year. I think it's a better season. I really do.
Yeah. And I think they need one more move for me to be really convinced of that. I've seen a couple people say, well, now they're a 76 win team. I don't see that at all. They've
Yeah,
got
because
too much. they've got too much starting pitching, too good of a bullpen, and too much offense, just as it's currently constructed, to be a have a losing. Yeah, they could have a bunch of injuries and shit could happen, but
Sure.
I just don't see that from any level of projection. Other than me projecting my feelings and having the fifis hurt because my favorite players aren't on the team
Right.
anymore,
They
and
have five.
That's valid in December. It's not valid in March
Right.
anymore.
And they have five players in the starting lineup that are way above a major league average. And what I like about this is even if you tell me that the production is the same, the fact that it's now spread out among down your whole lineup. And look, the fact of the matter is um they are going to sign an outfielder. And I don't know, Andy, correct me if I'm wrong. It seems easier to find an outfielder that can hit than it does a first baseman. So they found the first baseman. Now let's go find an outfielder.
Well, and I don't think it's a big name. I posted something on Blue Sky about going, fuck it, go sign Santander and just run with the season. That'd be great.
Sure.
I don't think that's going to happen, but I don't think somebody like Jock Peterson is out of the realm. He provided 3.7 WAR last year. Somebody like Jason Hayward could want to come back. Randall Grichuk could want to play. There are a number of names that would be very serviceable outfielders while we figure out what we have in the minor leagues or make additional deals. I think the other thing this does, and I've said it a number of times, we're holding on to Framber according to reports for now. So if you're holding on to Framber, you just acquired Wisniewski to be a starter. You've got a glut of starters, and you've got more on the way coming off the IR at some point this year. So you've got ammunition to go get either more prospects or major league ready outfielders. And either way, that's flexibility, and that's what we've been crying about this franchise not having for a while. They've managed to pull off trades with throwing away things that they didn't really want anymore. And I know Will Wagner had a great year in Toronto, or a great part of a year in Toronto. He's not a prospect. He wasn't a highly thought of prospect.
No.
Uh,
The only one that might still be the only one we might
Jake Bloss,
be for
the guy whose name you could never remember, Jake Bloss, might blossom into a great starter.
no, and I think Drew Gilbert is the one we gave up for Verlander, might
Yeah,
still have a decent season. One of the things I want to bring up before we go though is one of the reasons why I think Dana Brown got this job is that he was key to rebuild on the fly the very Braves team that beat us in the World Series. Because if you go back, none of that outfield and one of those infielders was on that team at the All-Star break.
let's say has Jorge Soler signed anywhere yet? Because he
So
seems to hit well in Minute Maid.
yeah, well, yeah, he does. I think two of those haven't landed yet. So
Hey, if we want to overpay for somebody, we could reward Teoscar Hernandez, bring him back home for his World Series year.
honestly, I would do it. You have so much money coming off the books next year.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, like I'm glad we were able
there
to
are.
do this.
The point of saying that is there are options,
There are
and
options.
I just don't believe Dana Brown's done yet. I don't think the team that breaks camp for opening day is the team we're looking at right now. I think there's going to be some additional changes, and in that context, both the moves that have happened in the last 10 days have been very positive moves for the Astros.
I think the Astros are better. All right, now we really are done for the year. Except for, by the way, I just want to ask real quick: have you seen any of the imagery um from South Bend, Indiana today yet for today's game?
I have not.
It is crazy snowpacked. I can't wait. There's nothing
Snowball is
better
always
than
a good.
football in the snow.
Snowball is always a good bowl.
Let's do it. Let's do it. All right. He's Andy Tom Chesson. I'm Jim Christopher. Everybody get back to enjoying your holidays. And, all I can say is that Santa Dana Brown brought you some stuff.
Hey, a hearty go Stros to all of you.
Hardy Go Stros. I ran into it's funny as I'm walking through Evergreen, Colorado. I ran into an Astros fan today at the Walmart and we high fived. So there you go. We're all over the
Walmart
place.
Hives.